Donald Trump's administration is in complete disarray right now. His approval numbers are hitting new lows, and both he and Speaker Mike Johnson are struggling to find a solution to the ongoing government shutdown. Part of the problem is clear. They're simply unable to manage it effectively. But the other issue is that Donald Trump doesn't seem to fully grasp what's happening, and deep down, they all know what comes next. Because ending the shutdown would also open the door to renewed scrutiny, especially surrounding ongoing controversies that continue to shadow Trump. And that's left him more anxious and defensive than ever before. To make matters worse, a shocking resignation has just rocked the administration, revealing the depth of the internal crisis we're now seeing play out. We'll get into that breaking development in just a moment, but before we do, if you're enjoying this coverage and want to support independent reporting, please leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us keep this work going. Now, before diving into that major resignation, let's take a look at how things have been unraveling for Donald Trump over the past few days, starting with this sharp breakdown from Representative Jamie Raskin.
Totally positive, totally patriotic, and totally supportive of us getting the American government back in business again, reopening and supporting the healthcare of the American people and supporting the federal workforce. And, I kicked off by saying that Speaker Johnson was talking about a Hate America rally, but that one had already taken place on January 6th, 2021, when Trump incited a mob of insurrectionists who violently assaulted our police officers, wounding and injuring more than 140 of them in order to overturn a presidential election. He lost by more than 7 million votes. That's what a Hate America rally looks like. This is what a Love America movement looks like. And that's why they've been trashing it for weeks now, because they know that millions of Americans are standing up against their authoritarianism.
I guess the question, Congressman, and particularly obviously for Democrats, is it a movement? Can you take the energy from these rallies and use it effectively moving forward?
Yeah, well, that's the question, but I think it was answered on Saturday. I mean, this is right now the largest the set of demonstrations that's ever occurred in American history. I don't know that there's ever been 7 million people who have assembled in unity against an administration that has been so determined to violate the civil rights and civil liberties of the people, usurp the powers of Congress, and trampled the Constitution, as well as shut down the U.S. government. So these are definitely movement conditions, and we have tremendous focus and unity within our party to hang tough for Medicaid for the American people, to hang tough for the monthly premium tax credits that are part of the Affordable Care Act. They want to throw millions of people off of health care, and the Democrats are saying, no way, we're not going to allow you to do that. We're going to reopen the government. We're going to reestablish the health care rights of the people. We want to rehire the federal workers who have been illegally sacked, including more than 4,000 at the end of last week from 8 different agencies, including the people who are the disease trackers at the Centers for Disease Control. And we want to see sworn in Adelita Grijalva as quickly as possible so we can get America moving forward again. And then, the millions of people you saw on the streets as protesters on Saturday become organizers in 2026 for us to take back Congress, even against the extreme gerrymandering of the Republican Party and all their voter suppression tricks.
Things could not be going worse for this administration. They really couldn't. Donald Trump's approval rating is in the gutter. He cannot win a messaging battle about the shutdown. He just keeps lying and doing AI slop that everyone is kind of just uncomfortable with and shows kind of the demented state of the Trump brain. But we see what's happening right now. Donald Trump is just trying to use this shutdown to continue to be the most corrupt president in history by slapping tariffs that allow for insider trading. Having the media distracted enough to pardon George Santos and maybe Ghislaine Maxwell. And that is why Donald Trump is being hit with a shock resignation, blowing up everything. And I want to get into it. GOP fundraiser trashes Trump's authoritarian regime in scathing resignation. A Republican fundraising strategist has revealed that he is leaving the party, saying he has finally had enough of its appeasement of Donald Trump. Miles Brunner, a former senior fundraising strategist for the Republican digital fundraising firm Campaign Solutions, wrote an essay for my colleagues at the Bulwark explaining why he is quitting the party and urged others to do the same to save the future of the country. Since Donald Trump descended that golden escalator in 2015, the Republican Party has devolved into a cult of personality that mirrors the worst authoritarian regimes of the last 100 years. He wrote, "For 10 years, the GOP has waged war, an unrelenting war on our civic institutions, the separation of powers, the foundation of the rule of law, and the very nature of truth itself. While Trump and his supporters in Congress have been the driving force behind the right's descent into despotism, it would also not have been possible without the thousands of consultants, aides, and politicos working behind the scenes to fully execute their systemic dismantling of American democratic norms." Brunner said that much of his job at Campaign Solutions revolved around drafting fundraising emails designed to outmag the previous. It was routine to publish content that pushed election fraud conspiracies, stoked anti-immigrant sentiment, and sowed distrust in our institutions, he wrote. He described becoming disillusioned while working as a political coordinator for moderate California State Senator Janet Nan. Brunner said that he tried desperately to distance the state senator from Trump during the 2016 campaign and hoped that Trump's very fine people response to the deadly far-right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 would provide the perfect opportunity to break away. However, the state senator was reportedly unhappy with the statement her team released, describing Heather Heyer, the woman struck and killed by a white supremacist during a demonstration opposing the neo-Nazis, as an American hero after she received backlash from Trump's MAGA base. The staff stressed to the state senator that the person had been indeed killed by a terrorist for protesting Nazis in her city, but that didn't matter. The text was changed, and any further condemnations of Trump or alt-right activities occurring in our district would stop. Brunner wrote, "It was the first time I would have drawn the line and said, I quit. But again, I stayed." Brunner said that throughout his time in the GOP, he rationalized, compartmentalized, and found excuses to stay tethered to the party despite his deep concern about Trump being the de facto leader of the GOP. His essay concludes with a plea for others to follow his lead even if they fear how it might affect their careers or personal lives. This is exactly the kind of courage we need right now. And I'm genuinely glad that independent outlets like the Bulwark are stepping up and growing faster than almost anyone else. Alongside platforms like Midas Touch and Crooked Media, the Bulwark has become a vital space for stories that mainstream media often overlook. I've even had the opportunity to collaborate with them on a few Sunday pieces, including one that takes a closer look at Senator Rand Paul, a Republican who has recently distanced himself from Donald Trump in some ways, while still defending him in others. It's a strange dynamic, criticizing Trump's actions one moment and then offering praise the next. And what we saw from Rand Paul on the Sunday shows this week was one of the most uncomfortable displays of political contradiction I've seen in a long time. It was awkward, confusing, and honestly a bit embarrassing for someone in his position. This all followed a Wild Truth Social post from Donald Trump aimed directly at Rand Paul. one that forced him to respond publicly. And once again, his reaction left many viewers shaking their heads. We're going to break it all down. But first, here's a look at what we've been working on over at the Bulwark, and this latest example of how far some Republicans will go to stay in Trump's good graces.
A post on Friday night. Let me read you, get your reaction on the other side. He said, quote, "Whatever happened to Senator Rand Paul? He was never great, but he went really bad. I got him elected twice in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he just never votes positively for the Republican Party. He's a nasty little guy." Why do you think President Trump is targeting you, Senator?
I think the problem is this, is that in Washington, what I represent, some people describe as unusual, and the president describes it as weird that I'm for less debt and balanced budgets. But, when I come home to Kentucky or when I travel the United States, people come up to me and say, stick to your guns. You're the only voice up there, Republican or Democrat, who's still talking about the debt and still talking about balanced budgets. But I don't take it too seriously. Look, I've known the president for over a decade. I've played golf with him many times. I enjoy his company. I was one of his biggest defenders on impeachment and would do so again. I think he's one of the best presidents, if not the best presidents of my lifetime. But it doesn't mean I will sit quietly and just say, oh, well, whatever you want to do. I was elected to have a voice, and so I continue to be a voice, like on the bombing of the Venezuelan boats. I think that's inappropriate. War with Venezuela without Congress's opinion or Congress's weighing in and authorization is inappropriate. The tariffs are bad for the economy. But it doesn't mean I dislike Donald Trump. So he gets mad at me sometimes, but I'm still one of his best supporters if he's willing to have it.
All right. Well, you bring me to my next question, which is Venezuela. Obviously, you've been very focused on this. President Trump has authorized military strikes against suspected drug boats in the Caribbean. As you know, so far, more than 20 people, Senator, have been killed in 6 different strikes. Do you believe that these strikes against these suspected drug boats are legal?
No, they go against all of our tradition. When you kill someone, you should know, if you're not at war, not in a declared war, you really need to know someone's name, at least. You have to accuse them of something. You have to present evidence. So all of these people have been blown up without us knowing their name, without any evidence of a crime. And for decades, if not centuries, when you stop people at sea in international waters or in your own waters, you announce that you're going to board the ship and you're looking for contraband, smuggling, or drugs. This happens every day off of Miami.
Honestly, it's hard not to ask. Have you no shame, Senator Rand Paul? How far are you willing to go to defend Donald Trump? Week after week, we see the same pattern. The Sunday shows turn into a stage for politicians to publicly prove their loyalty to Trump. But this time, it wasn't about defending policy or taking on opponents. It was about personal devotion. We're going to keep exposing this hypocrisy right here on the show. And if you want to support that, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.